Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Dungeons & Dragons and how to properly apply the tags Sociopath or Psychopath to a Dungeons & Dragons villain. So in order to do that effectively, in order to apply these tags to a non-player character, specifically a villain, right, we need to understand what these terms mean, and we also need to understand what their distinctions are. And a lot of people get confused about the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath, right? So in order to use these effectively, we need to understand them. So today I'm going to be presenting how to properly apply the tags sociopath or psychopath, in my opinion, to a Dungeons & Dragons villain, okay? All right, so here's how you do it. So one, tags are an incredibly important way that we bring non-player characters to life. A tag is simply one simple word that you apply to a non-player character, whether they be an ally or a villain, right? And in this case, these would always be applied to villains, in my opinion. But you just take one word, you apply that tag, and then in your mind, you have a one-word tag applied to that villain, right? And once you have that one-word tag applied, that is going to help you shape their behaviors, shape their personalities, and shape their impact on the player characters and the world and the other non-player characters in the world, okay? All right, so let's talk about sociopath and psychopath, because these are both very effective tags for Dungeons & Dragons villains, but we need to understand the distinction, okay? All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about not their distinctions, but I'm going to talk about their similarities. So both sociopaths and psychopaths have three words in common, three behaviors in common that they use. They use these behaviors like moves, okay? All right, so both sociopaths and psychopaths have the following behaviors, all right? And those three are conceit, deceitfulness, and manipulation, all right? So in the case of sociopaths and psychopaths, they're generally conceited. And that means there's going to be a level of arrogance with a sociopath or with a psychopath that you will not normally find at the levels you find it in sociopaths and psychopaths, or in the frequency that you find it in sociopaths or psychopaths. Right? So they are conceited. They generally believe that they are better people than the people around them. Okay? All right. Next is deceitfulness. So generally, when many people lie, when most people lie, they will have a hesitation, they will have regret or guilt. Okay, all three of those things. When a sociopath or a psychopath lies or uses deceitfulness, they're not going to have those other attached behaviors. So when they lie, it is extremely rare for them to feel regret or guilt, and they're extremely rare for them to hesitate to use lying, okay? So that's very different. That is a behavior that is very different from other people, okay? All right, the last one is manipulation. Manipulation for a sociopath and for a psychopath of other people is considered almost like a tool, right? And again, other people use manipulation all the time. But there's a hesitation, there's a regretfulness, there's guilt attached to that often. But with sociopaths and psychopaths, that's just not the case. Not at the same level that other people have. Sociopaths and psychopaths don't experience that, right? So that is the commonality between sociopaths and psychopaths. Generally, sociopaths and psychopaths have conceit, they use deceitfulness, and they use manipulation quite often, okay? All right, so now clearly that is very clear how that would be a really strong structure for a Dungeons & Dragons villain, right? So now let's talk about the distinctions between sociopath and psychopath, okay? All right, so if you are we'll talk about psychopaths first. Psychopaths are having psychopathology, right, is generally more genetic than learned. Okay, so you're more likely to have this because of your genetics than it being a learned behavior. Okay, so that's one thing that is distinct about psychopathy than sociopathy, right? So the other one is they are more likely to apply a veneer of sociability. They're both more capable and more likely to do it, right? So psychopaths have the ability to apply a veneer of sociability so that they can appear to other people to be sociable when they're actually not. Okay, so they're capable and they're more likely to apply a veneer of sociability. They are smaller in number. Okay, they're in IRL. Psychopathy is only seen in about 1% of the general population. Okay, so they're more rare than sociopaths. Okay, and then also they are more competent generally than sociopaths, in that they're able to accomplish more just at the generalized level. And that leads into another one. This is so if you look at it at the macro level, there are some people who believe they're generally more dangerous, right? Because of their capability, because of that ability to put on a veneer of sociability, and they're presenting something to other people that might not actually be matching what the reality is within their own nature, right? So they're generally more dangerous. All right, so sociopaths, right? Sociopaths are more likely to be loners, to be alone, and right. Sociopaths are also far more likely to travel, but they are not sightseers. So they're more likely to travel, but they're not traveling around to see the sights at those places, right? And they are, the other thing is they are more plentiful than psychopaths. It is, the calculation currently right now is that you see sociopathy in about 4% of the population, right? And then also sociopathy is more likely to be a learned behavior, right? So those are the two tags: sociopathy, psychopathy, right? And these can be applied to Dungeons and Dragons villains if you understand what the terms mean and how they're distinct, right? So these are tags that you can apply to your Dungeons and Dragons villains. I just want to say real quick, so these are conditions essentially that regular human beings have. So as you proceed, be careful that you are respecting people who may have these conditions, right? So just be aware of that, right? And that's all. We should always be careful as we bring in IRL elements into our fantasy worlds, that we're being respectful of people who are dealing with those circumstances within real life. All right, okay, and that's pretty much everything. That's the difference between sociopathy and psychopathy, and how to effectively apply them to shape the behaviors, to shape the impact that your non-player characters, your villain non-player characters, will have in your game. Thank you very much.